Hey guys, I wanted to talk about some of the Star Wars news that dropped this week. Some exciting things are happening, so let's talk about it. First and foremost, Disneyland is changing Galaxy's Edge. So they're updating Galaxy's Edge. They're going to include original characters into the land, and they even talked about adding John Williams music to the land, which is really exciting. Now, I know John Williams produced a score for Galaxy's Edge specifically for the original park design, which is great. But to actually have the original Imperial March and some of the original Star Wars music actually be played in the land, yeah, no brainer. Love it. So it's interesting to see that maybe Disney has finally caught up to popular demand and decided, okay, we've heard you, we're going to make a change. And what I've thought about for a long time is that Disney really missed the mark with the design of Galaxy's Edge. I'm one of those guys who was really excited, more than excited, to go to a Star Wars dedicated theme park land, and experience Star Wars. In fact, seeing the Millennium Falcon live and in person at that size and scale was amazing the first time I saw it. And walking through the land, of course, I absorbed all of it, loved it, and enjoyed every minute of it. But over time, on returning to Galaxy's Edge, some things have bothered me. And one of the foremost things that's bothered me is that aside from the Millennium Falcon and Chewbacca and some of the sequel characters, everything is different. It's not the Star Wars that I grew up with. It's not the Star Wars that I'm familiar with. It's not the Star Wars I wanted to see. It's too bad that Disney didn't design Star Wars Land around the original movies. I can understand the idea creatively, thinking, okay, we have to create a new branching off point where we can have new experiences and people can come and experience their own adventure in the Star Wars universe. I think that is a fundamental misunderstanding of what fans want. I think people wanted to experience the original Star Wars. I want to go to Tatooine and experience what that is. I want to go to a Star Destroyer and see what that's like. I want to confront stormtroopers and Darth Vader in a land that's familiar to something I saw in the original movies. So I think that was a fundamental mistake they made by dedicating the land to a obscure, unknown land based on the sequel trilogies in the sequel timeline. For a while, I've been suggesting that they should do what they're going to do, which is kind of create neighborhoods. One area of the park is going to be dedicated to the original trilogy now. The other is going to be dedicated to the sequel trilogy. And of course, they have to throw in the Mandalorian, so they have to make him fit somehow. So it's going to be interesting to see how that comes together. But Smuggler's Run has always bothered me that it had no Han Solo. How can you have that ride without Han Solo in some form or another, with no explanation why he's not there? So, I tried to accept it for a long time and enjoy it because, again, cool, I'm flying the Millennium Falcon. But honestly, it's right that Han Solo and Chewbacca are together somehow in that ride. And now they're going to, of course, shoehorn in the Mandalorian, I guess, into the new ride, the ride storylines. So we'll see how that goes. But apparently there will be now Han Solo and Princess Leia meet and greets around the Millennium Falcon, Han Solo and Chewbacca as well. And then in other areas, you'll see Luke and R2-D2. And then in the old, Kylo Ren area, you're going to see Darth Vader and stormtroopers and Imperial soldiers. Cool. It's about time. Like I said, I wish it had been done this way from the beginning. I wish they had mapped out a way for fans and for visitors to experience the original trilogy of movies with, looking forward to the current sequel trilogy or expanding the universe in a way, in a different way. I think it's possible to do both things. And sometimes I think maybe whether it's the Imagineers constraining themselves too much or people getting tied up or just trying to make excuses, but trying to make a storyline that makes sense in the land, I understand, but they make compromises all the time. So I don't see the problem with having different eras of Star Wars nearby each other in the Star Wars land. I think that's just kind of an excuse they made to try to say that this entire place was all only Black Spire Outpost in this timeline of the sequel trilogy. So I think that time has passed, and it's good to see them shifting Disneyland, and I look forward to going and experiencing the original characters in a Star Wars land. Love it. All right, the next bit of news that came out about Star Wars this week has been rumored for a long time. Kathleen Kennedy is out. Maybe she's retiring, moving on to producing other things, and stepping down. And it's said that Dave Filoni will be one of those to take over the direction of the studio for Star Wars. And personally, I'm okay with that. I think Kathleen Kennedy, I have respect for her. I recognize her relationship with George Lucas and Steven Spielberg and how she has developed with her career and all of the producing that she has done over the years. And I think that it's a significant thing that she helped shepherd the new Star Wars universe at Disney. But I think she did have some missteps. And I'm not a fan of the expanded universe that Disney created. In the beginning, like I said with Galaxy's Edge, I liked seeing where they were headed. I gave them a chance, but I realized that they boxed themselves in into some weird corners, and they didn't, in my opinion, do justice to the original trilogy. In fact, one of the worst decisions that was made was by J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy, presumably, not reuniting the original characters together, Han, Luke, and Leia, in The Force Awakens. Now, I can understand delaying that reunion for a while and how circumstance and other things created a problem for that later on in the second or the well, I guess it would be the eighth and ninth movies with the death of Carrie Fisher and then obviously the character death of Han Solo, making that impossible. But it should have happened in the first movie. They should have come together for one reason or another, and we should have had that reunion. That's what we needed to see. It would have been a good closure and a good starting point to pass the baton to the next generation, having that last generation together. Instead, they chose to separate them and actually, degrade them a bit, right? Han Solo was a deadbeat dad. Luke had abandoned his mission and uh, exiled himself as a hermit, and Princess Leia had become the general leading the charge, but was kind of indifferent to their relationships. And so that really, uh, the more I've thought about it and the more time has passed, that decision was a big failure. And so right out of the gate, JJ and Kathleen made a big mistake with the sequel trilogy and those characters because now it's impossible to ever put them back together. I have not enjoyed the TV series either. The more recent ones like Acolyte and the last season of Mandalorian, pretty weak. Acolyte, honestly, was terrible. It did not resemble Star Wars in any way. It denigrated the Jedi. It was a confusing mess of modern politics and not good. So, how that one was greenlit, I don't know, but I certainly never want to see something like that again in the Star Wars universe. We need to go back to fundamentals. We need to focus on character, on the Force, on the Jedi, um, on adventure, on heroes and villains, and create something interesting and exciting to watch. Um, I am open-minded, so I look forward to what we're going to see in the new Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I really trust trust Jon Favreau. So let's see what he can do. I'm excited to see how that movie comes together. Also, I know they're doing the Ryan Gosling movie with Sean Levy, and well, I hope that is good too. I mean, you have good creators and good potential there. I just hope we don't have any modern woke politics shoved into it. I think again, it just needs to stay true to the universe, and the core principles that Star Wars embodies, which to me is good triumphing over evil. Um, the little guy through small and simple things, big things happen. Um, you know, uh, Unexpected things in small packages like Yoda. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in the original trilogy. Story tropes, of course, but that classic storytelling that George Lucas created that I want to see perpetuated into the future. And what's happened, I think, recently that's been kind of exposed in some of these big failures is that they hire a creative team, and then that creative team, yes, has the freedom to create something new. And I understand the need to do something new because you don't want to do a repeat of what has been done before. But there has to be a way to build on the past, but not destroy it. And I really feel like Ryan Johnson was trying to destroy the past. In fact, it's not it's overt. The way, Luke tosses the lightsaber, the way they kind of shatter uh, the whole understanding of things in that movie, it's just a mess. So very disappointed in what Ryan Johnson did and the left turn that went there, plus things that have followed. So I really have high hopes that they can reset the table and let creators create, but do it from a place of respect, I think, to the original source material and expand the universe. There's a lot of places they can go. It's a big, wide universe, and I think Mandalorian proved that you could tell a story from a small corner of that universe um, in a new way that was exciting and fresh. And I think that's what The Mandalorian proved, is that you can show up and tell a story that maybe isn't the same as the rise and fall of the Jedi in the main movies, but can take some exciting and fun things and freshen them up in a new way and tell a new story and a new adventure. And so I'd like to see that happen. So I wish Dave Filoni well in the creative team, and I hope that they focus on those fundamentals and bring us some new stuff that is fun and respects the legacy. And who knows? Maybe they can even bring back George. Probably not. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. See you next time.